Don't you think that maybe? Ah. Let's see. Hello, Karen. I was just actually thinking about you the other day. I hope that's not weird. I actually hadn't seen you in, um, I don't know, I just hadn't seen your comment in a while. So, yeah, so I was wondering if you were okay. Because normally you comment even when you can't be here. You're like, hey, I can't be here, or something on one of our videos, and I just hadn't seen you lately, and I just wanted to make sure that you were doing okay. I hadn't offended you in some great manner or something, considering you're one of my oldest subscribers. Hello, Steph. All right, so I'm gonna cut most of this out, you guys. Um, I was working on our audiovisual setup, so we have um, adjusted a few things this evening. Hello, Brett. Hello, Donna. Hello, Brian. Hello, Stefan. Hello, RGB. Glad you're here. Good. I'm glad you're okay, Karen. That's all. I just wanted to make sure that you were well. So I will start the actual content here shortly, but I wanted to make sure because hey, Leah, I have adjusted some audio visual things. I'm using our microphone. I ordered a longer cable because I apologize for the clicking, like I said, and the playback this hopefully will all be eliminated. I ordered a longer cable so I could set the camera a little further back, but actually set it up on our camera stand, our tripod. I have an adapter that works between the Canon XD that we use and the phone holder. So the mic has been sitting on top of the camera, 2 feet from me, and I've had to have the gain up really high. And what that has done, obviously, has allowed a lot of exterior noise in the house into our live streams. Seems a tad blurry. It might be my old eyes. I don't know. It looks the same to me, Karen. But I can move the. Well, so yeah, this is one of my 3 corners that I use. Let me see if I can move this a little closer, Karen, if that eliminates some of the blurry. Maybe it'll just make it more blurry. I have a pretty large head anyway, so it fills up most of the doodad. So, yeah, Brett says Brian got in trouble. No, like I said, my corner's over there, but I wasn't sure. I have things everywhere now, so I just slid the table back. And I wanted to try reducing the gain, but having the mic closer. So Karen says Brian's in timeout. It's fine, really, no worries. Eventually, what I'd like to do is actually have kind of a proper audio setup with the spit protector, the thing that eliminates your P's and your T's, and do this more proper vloggy style. It's 8 o'clock. We can start content. So anyways, if you see some adjusting, you hear some clicking, let me know if you can't hear it, or if you hear it better. Does it sound better? Does it sound the same? What the gain ended up doing was giving us almost like a cavernous kind of sound, and I did not like that. Almost like wind constantly in the background, and I just did not care for that. I try and give you nothing but the best. So, Brett says, so I'm guessing here, but the well didn't like the cold. Well, let's jump right into the well. I believe I told you guys a month after we got here, the plastic broke coming out of the. Hey, Ricky, he says thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. Oh, before I forget, we must discuss our drink this evening. Now, please don't hang me. I'm not drinking tea. But what I am drinking is bone broth from my very own chickens. And it is delicious. I'm going to show you. Can I show you the jar? I brought it out. It's show and tell. Look at this. Look at this pile of gelatinous goo. Oh my gosh. It had the thickest layer of just pure fat on top. And my goodness, it is so good. So you'll forgive me if I bypass the tea this evening. I'll mess with our tea edition. Karen, Karen made it. Well, so Karen, it is so thick that it's about, I put about a third in my cup, and then the rest is water, and it's almost like, well, I was gonna say drinking butter, but that sounds really gross. It has rich flavor. It's smooth. It's so good. That's why this is like my third cup today. It's amazing. So it is basic. It's broth. In this form, you're right. It looks kind of gross, but I mean, it's like, look at. Can you hear it? Brett says in traditional form, I'm sipping on a cold beer, not a warm beer. Cold. I understand. So good. So yes, and that is from the necks, which obviously is a pretty lean part of the bird, but we did one leftover carcass, and we put that in with everything, and that is all from one bird carcass. So it is so good. I am so pleased with how these birds turned out. It was a great day, but we'll get to that in a second. Brett wants to know about the well, and since it was the lead-in picture, I suppose it is the story of the hour. So we will talk about the well. A month and a half, 2 months ago, we had no pressure in the house, and I went out there, and the pipe had broken where the galvanized turned into PVC. And it had broken the threads off inside the pipe. See, I can do that now too. I need a button. And I went and got the plumbing parts. We fixed it. We put the well back together. And the water pressure wasn't very good. Now it's only, I've learned all kinds of stuff. It's a 1/2 horsepower pump. I wasn't sure what size pump it was supposed to be, but a 1/2 horsepower is good for what we have. Fixed all the plumbing, but the pressure was kind of lousy. And 15 years ago when I had a well, we replaced some pressure switches. And you could adjust the pressure switches. There was the 110 wire going to it was so bad that, hey, Mom, good evening, that the insulation had all come off of the wiring. So we replaced the wiring, we put new switches in, and I adjusted those switches 6 ways from Sunday, and I could never get it. I bought 30-50 switches, and the 30-50 switches means that when it drops down to 30 psi, it's supposed to kick on up into 50 psi, and then it kicks off, and then you have that pressure range. And Brett says, considering installing a new well pump, haven't been usable since he bought the house in 11. We'll get there. We'll get there. So I tried to upgrade, and the only thing that ended up happening was my little 1/2 horsepower pump has been running constantly for like a month and a half. It never ever shuts off. It never hits 50 psi, whatever. So, and I was learning as I was going out and filling my 55-gallon drums that, oh look, our first spammer, he's early. Whatever. Go away. Put user in timeout. That's funny. So what I learned was as I was filling 55-gallon drums, my pressure would work for about 30 gallons, and then it would tank. Not only would it tank, when I went into the well house, there's a silt filter that's clear, and you could see that the pump was not keeping up with what we were pulling out of it. Okay, so I called the well guy, and Karen says, we just recently had our well dug on our property. It has a 1 horsepower pump and is about 80 feet deep. Good. We'll get to the depth in a second. And so I was having to gate back the pump because I didn't want to lose prime. And I finally called the pump guy out, and I called a couple local guys up here that I know and asked for their recommendations, got a couple recommendations, narrowed it down to a guy. He came out Friday and he said, you don't have a deep well, you have probably a 60-foot well. And not only do you only have a 60-foot well, it's a 2-inch well. It's not a 4-inch, it's nothing good. And I have reserve tanks in there. And I have one 35-gallon reserve tank, and I have one like 15-gallon reserve tank. So because there's bladders and all these things in there, it's only good for about 35 gallons before I run out of pressure, because I only have a half horsepower pump on a 2-inch well. So even if I upgrade my pump, I'm not going to get much more water out of that 2-inch. So I do not have the well that I thought I had. And man, there's another one. They're fast tonight. I was hoping to dig a potentially shallow well out by the fields where we're going to have the animals. But I only have a half horsepower well on a 2-inch well that's only 60 feet deep. So that is okay for my house if I'm careful. If I have a kid in a shower and an adult in a shower and we run the dishwasher or the washing machine or whatever, then we run out of water pretty quick. Excuse me, still getting over the vid. Actually, I'm feeling much better. I just have some. I think it's just cold out. Karen says, bummer, our well is 4-inch. Yeah, so if it was 4-inch, it would make a huge difference. There's a whole aspect for friction loss and volume and pressure and stuff that we won't get into because it's not very interesting. But suffice it to say that a 4-inch well gives you a significant amount of water compared to a 2-inch well. And a 2-inch well gives you more than a 1-inch and all that. It's not proportional to its size. It's way more than double. That is a good question. Karen asked Brett how he gets water if his pump hasn't been working. So the pump guy said that it would cost us about $12,000 to dig a 360 to 400 foot deep well. And that would have I think he said a 3/4 horse submersed pump. And I kind of threw up a little bit. I'm torn for a couple reasons. One, I like things to work correctly, and I don't like to barely have enough of whatever it is I'm doing. So hey Jeremy, good evening. If I buy an impact gun, I don't want to have an impact gun that barely does most of the jobs I need. I want an impact gun that will, spin the lug nuts off of a tractor, whatever. I don't want a generator that barely does the job. I want way overboard. I don't want to be towing at the maximum rating for my truck. I want way over the towing limit. It feels to me like you have the safety built in when you have that much extra. So currently, our 2-inch well is enough for our house. Excuse me. We have figured out that we can fill our 55-gallon drums if we gate back our pressure, because then we're not draining all of our reserve pressure out of our little holding tanks. But that means I have to trickle fill my 55-gallon drums, and I either have to sit out there with the hose gated way back, or I have to set a timer, because my half horsepower pump has to be able to keep up with what I'm drawing out, which is not fun. And right now we have the fewest number of animals that we're going to have on the property. So we are going to have cows. We're going to have, we have more chickens coming. That's next on the list of things to talk about, y'all. We got more birds coming. For those of you that didn't see this, look at this. This is what we're drinking tonight. I know it looks terrible, but this is the broth from one carcass. So we're not having tea. Don't hang me. We're having delicious broth. It's so good. It's like 1/3 broth to 2/3 water. So good. So we also have the cabin on the property, which is not operating with water because the pipe's underneath the house before we moved here frozen burst. So it's possible we could have, you know, 2 kitchens and 3 bathrooms going at the same time. And that's just not going to fly on a 2-inch, 60-foot deep well. Now the flip side is, if we do spend all this money up front and we put in this massive well, because it is currently a shallow well with only a 0.5 horsepower pump, I could cut it off from the rest of the house electrically and hook up like a generator to it, or a solar generator. I've looked into solar generators. We're going to talk about those too in a little bit. And that would be my backup well. And it's already plumbed to the house. We wouldn't need to tear it out or get rid of it. I would just cut the electric to it and then have it on off for the current well, or the new well. And then I could run my house off of the older, smaller system if everything goes wonky and sideways. I've done some very cursory perusing on solar generators with solar panels, and you can plug them into the solar panel and it charges up a little mini electric generator for you. And I found a few on Amazon that look interesting, they range from $1,500 up to like $9,000. But if I'm only running the pump like emergency style, I think I could make one of those work for a very, very long time. It had like a 2.5-hour charge time, very quick. And it's only a 110 pump. So if I put in a new deep well for the house, then the old small well could be my reserve well. But that doesn't get me water to the front fields. But if I put in a big 4-inch well, I can rent a ditch witch and put pipe out to the field and have all the water I need. He said I'm currently getting 2 to 3 gallons a minute out of the pump, and if we did dig this new well, we would get 40 to 50 gallons a minute. So we would have all the water we need. We wouldn't run out filling barrels and all those things. But I still have water. So it kind of feels like a kick in the teeth if I'm to spend that much money when I currently have water. I'm not out, I'm not, whatever. If the well was shot, I wouldn't be putting money into it. We would just pay the money and do it. So it's hard to justify spending that much money when I already have something that works. Now, one of the other options we can do, he said, is add more pressure tanks. He said we could add up to 3 35-gallon pressure tanks, and those are about $370 at Lowe's. There's already one in there, so I could spend $700 and increase my reserve from 35 gallons up to like 70 gallons. So that might be a stopgap for now. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm telling you all of this because talking it out helps me think. I'm an audio person, so listening to the words come out kind of helps my process, so I can internalize things and then just really put them out to the universe. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't like not being able to do something, but I also don't want to spend that much money. So that is a to be determined type thing. We will figure it out. Shall we talk about chicken processing? We are going to talk about chicken processing. I appreciate all of your comments about the chicken processing video. I'm assuming that, yeah, Brett, that's a good idea. He says collecting water is great, considering using my small Florida pool for that. One of the issues, I guess the only issue I have with that is freezing up here. We're going to build another eggmobile here soon because we have more birds coming. But what I wanted was a spigot all the way out there that I wanted to put inside a shed, and then keep like feed and stuff in that shed out there in the field, and have water on maybe a retractable reel, or even one of those goofy expandable hoses, the ones that like never knot and you fill them up and then look like a snake, and keep those in that shed out there and insulate it and maybe put like a clear plastic roof on it so we get some of that solar energy in there, and have water out there that doesn't freeze. So I suppose it's possible I could do water capture and run it into some type of cistern or something buried, or something that would keep water without freezing. I don't know. There's options. It was kind of obnoxious. But my lovely wife, Mrs. Flannel Farms, has come down with we think is the same illness that I had. We haven't tested anybody because it doesn't matter. It's not going to make them feel any better or worse. My son got sick after me, and then my oldest got sick, and then when they were on the mend, my middle daughter got sick, and now she's on the mend, and my wife is not. Well, she's feeling very hot, but not good. So if I disappear all of a sudden, it's because she needs something. She got sick kind of yesterday. Yeah, Brett says it's the gift that keeps on giving. She got sick yesterday night, I guess. I was on duty, and they did not go to church this morning with me. I was in town, so I went to church anyways, and so she's kind of down and out for the count, so I've taken tomorrow off. But she's had plenty of this bone broth, so it is so good, so good. I expect her to be better already. We gave her bone broth from our own raised chickens. Shouldn't she be better right now? Isn't that how the superfood stuff works? Processing the chickens went really, really, really well. The only thing that really kind of messed up, I guess if you could call it a mess up, or something that we learned, was when we were scalding the chickens. I did not realize, should have dawned on me, but the surface area of all those feathers holds a whole lot of water. So when you pull them out of that scalding water, they pull a bunch of water with them. And I had another pot, the smaller pot, that tin, whatever covered doodad, granite covered tin pot, and I was keeping that hot, but at one point I did not refill that one, and a couple times I could actually refill the cauldron straight from the hose, and even though the water was 55 degrees in the hose, the cauldron, because it's cast iron, held so much heat that it did fine. But I think 6 or 7 birds in, we pulled one out, and we had been testing the leg feathers, and some of the feathers came out, and then we had to put it back in, and then some feathers came out, and we had to put it back in, some feathers came out, and we had to put it back in. And we ended up scalding that bird for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes between the 3 different scaldings. So next time, I need to keep better track of my water situation. What I might do is get the soft copper, and maybe wrap the flue with soft copper and hook that up to my hose, and then have that run down into the I'd put a splitter on it, on the hose, so that I could keep some of it cold, because it got hot. I think it got up to 185 to 190 at one point. But then I could put hot water in or cold water in and refill it as needed. But about every 3 or 4 birds, we ended up having to add water, and that was something I just didn't consider, was the water usage. So we have ordered 50 more meat birds. Now, I have a video coming out tomorrow. I've already filmed it. It's edited. It's sitting in the queue waiting to go. It'll come out tomorrow morning, I think at 8 o'clock. Also, speaking of videos, you guys, I released my boring video, right? And I put in the description very specifically that that video was meant for background noise. If you only want to watch the vlog and the story and stuff, don't bother with that video. I'm going to make a whole bunch of them throughout the year. I'm going to call them Flannel Farms Filler. Some of them will be designed to help you sleep. I plan on doing a couple like spring evening cricket bug type sounds. I want to do a rainstorm in the barn because it has a lovely tin roof. I want to do one with just the chickens, the baby chicks. I have like 5 or 6 different ideas. I might even do some where we're just out weeding in the garden. The idea behind the videos is it's just background noise. I'm not going to talk to the camera. There's not going to be any music. It's just something to fill the silence. And most of you got it. I think the average view time for that video was like 7 or 8 minutes. But a few of you put it on while you were gardening. A couple people said when they were just inside the house, like making dinner, they put it on. One guy told me it was very, 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 very boring, and he didn't like it. And that's fine. It's not meant to be entertaining in that sense of the word. But it has reached 250 views faster than any of my other things. And I thought it would have like 10 or 15 views for the people that it was kind of made for. RGB says Flannel Farms ASMR. Something like that. That is sort of the idea. Is it's just almost something to keep you company, right? I am with you while you're doing whatever, and we're doing something together. But it's not something that commands your attention. So that's the idea. Some of them will not. I mean, some of them might just be chainsaws. And I plan on harvesting some more wood here, so I'm going to film probably an hour of cutting up the tree, pulling it into the barn, cutting up more of the tree, and then just splitting wood. And if that's something you're interested in, great. But yeah, one guy didn't like it and left. But you guys have made it like the most clicked on, the most watched of all of my videos. So thank you for that. It's very interesting. It's a strange world that we live in, I think. But I get it. It's nature abhors a vacuum, right? We don't like silence. We like somebody to be in a room with us, even if we're not talking, just to be around somebody. So, but thank you for that. And we'll put more of them out. They're very easy to film, and I can upload them at work when I have good internet. Oh man. But yeah, we have ordered 50 more birds, and the video coming out tomorrow is not an ASMR. It's a regular vlog. We got 50 meat roosters on sale. They should hatch tomorrow, and they should be out to us on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we've moved one of the coops, that little blue coop, into the barn and got it prepped so that when they show up, we're ready. Last time we ordered birds, we were not really ready when we had them in the cabin. But we weren't sure what was going to happen, so we wanted to get animals on the property as quickly as possible. I'm very happy we did, because as you guys saw last week, the poultry was gone, so we were like harvesting birds right as poultry was running out. So I'm very glad we did that, but it was not an ideal setup. Sorry, I'm kicking stuff. So this time, we're a bit more prepared. We still have 7 Delaware white hens and 1 Delaware white rooster. And we plan on just a minute, man. We plan on repopulating the Delawares. I really liked the Delawares. They were tasty. They were a good size. But they're not laying yet. They should start laying soon, but I don't know when they will. And of course, you want them to lay for, I don't know, like a month or 2 months so that the eggs get the proper size and fully developed and all those things. So these 50 roosters are a stopgap. They should be the last batch that we order. We have enough of a mixture out in the front field with our barn flock that's laying eggs. And we might keep one of these roosters out of these, depending on what we get. We're not really sure. All I know is they're meat breed, to crossbreed with the Delaware and just kind of experiment a little bit and see what we get. And then we can make our own flocks. So I'm going to build another egg mobile here shortly specifically for the meat birds. But they should get here Tuesday. I'm very excited. And we are going to go ahead and invest in a plucker here shortly. I don't always know that we're going to have 4 extra adults that are going to be able to come help us process chickens. So we're going to get, we're going to go ahead and get the plucker and try and streamline the operation. I built 2 killing cones myself. I'm going to go ahead and build a 3rd one. I have enough metal lying around. I just wasn't sure if it was worth it. I think the place we're actually going to end up kind of log jammed is the scalding station, because I can only scald one bird at a time. It takes 90 seconds, give or take, per bird. So that's where we're going to be jammed up. And if it's only me and the wife, the lovely Mrs. Flannel Farms, then I can kill 3 birds or even 4 birds at a time, dispatch, whatever. But we can only scald them one at a time, and then I think the plucker will take 2 or 3 of them. But you might as well just do them while you're scalding, and then I'm not sure if we're gonna like scald and pluck and then set aside, and maybe we'll like butcher them together. Just keep the little process going while we can until we get them all ready to butcher, and then butcher them all. I don't know. It's something we'll have to figure out as we go. But it was definitely worth doing again. Oh no, I messed up the chat. Shoot. Come back. There we go. I wanted to scroll back through our chat real quick. Karen says that we have a 45-foot trailer on our property that we put a gutter on, and we collect the rainwater in 300-gallon used RO tank. Cool, that we bought off of Craigslist. That's awesome. Brett says people need and want to unplug from the craziness. I really think that's what it is. It's just there's so much, and there's so much flashiness. I was talking to a guy about that, how when I was a kid, even the kids shows were 900 camera angles and bright and flashy and everything else. And then as I was getting into junior high and high school, like Nickelodeon was getting big and everything was just, changing screens every second. So the attention span is kind of shot. And I think a lot of us are tired of that and just want something else. So Karen said, when we lived down in the Caribbean on St. Croix, we had a tin roof on our house. I love the sound. I know, I love that sound too. So I really want to film it. The other day when it was raining, I wanted to film it and put one out. That was going to be the first one. But you guys heard Skittles, our cat, out there meowing. He was at the end of my my COVID video that I put as a joke. And he was just meowing and meowing and meowing and meowing. And that kind of ruins, for some, the whole point of like the quiet, nice rain. You could fall asleep to it with meow, meow, meow. It was so irritating. But Leah says, Brian, do you know if we pause a video and then unpause it, does it continue the watch time for you, or does it cut off at the time we paused it? If you're talking about a live stream, I believe it picks back up like immediately. It's delayed. Now, if you close your window and come back, it picks up at the live point. I hope that helps. So let's see, what else do I have on my list of things? Oh, I'm Mr. Mom today for the kids, and so we made spaghetti because I thought even I can't mess up spaghetti, and I messed up spaghetti. My middle. Well, let's start with the youngest. The youngest and he and I like Alfredo sauce better than red sauce. Color me a pagan, but I love Alfredo sauce. My middle child does not like any sauce. She likes her noodles and her meat separate, and she likes butter, and she likes salt. The end. And my oldest loves red sauce and cheese and everything mixed up, big pile. Well, apparently, my son does not like the Aldi brand Alfredo. So I said white sauce. He said yes, and then I pulled out and ruined his dinner. The poor lad. He put on a brave face for me and ate it, but he was not happy. So I'll be Mr. Mom tomorrow probably, again. But until Mrs. Flannel Farms feels better. The good news is if hers mimics mine, she should be better. Mostly better. Brett says 4K Ultra HD fireplace on YouTube are my friends. Yeah, I've used that actually at the fire station. We have an alert board that tells us where we're going, what's going on in the city. It's kind of a scrolling thing, and sometimes it crashes, and when it crashes I go to YouTube and I pull up like the Yule log and just let that roll. And the IT guy comes in and fixes it and gets all fussy. But that's okay. I don't mind if he gets fussy. Taryn says, my 16-year-old son now goes to sleep with the sound of thunderstorms on YouTube in the background and soothes him. Yes, that's what I'm hoping for different purposes, right? Once you put up a thunderstorm one, it's up, so somebody can listen to it a whole bunch of times. A friend of mine at work was saying that he has like a white noise on YouTube. There's a white noise one that he listens to, and it had something like 1 million views. I said, it has 1 million views, but the thing is, how many of those views are the same person listening to it over and over and over again? You know, he's like, well, I've listened to it like 100 times, so you can do the math. Excuse me. Obviously, our hope is to have people join us on our journey with the homesteading thing, and to like and be a part of that community that we're doing. But by the same token, we're also trying to get our message out there to people. So the more areas that we can kind of plug into, the more likely we are to expand our audience and our community. So that's why we're dabbling in the ASMR and the boring videos. I will label them as boring. So if you are one that likes the flashy and fancy editing and the time lapse and all that stuff, I'm gonna try and do time lapse more pointedly or specifically when we redo the cabin. I think I'm gonna time lapse that whole build, and just have a variety, something for everyone. There's something for everyone here at Flannel Farms. If you want to watch somebody rake gravel, there's that. If you want to see esoteric discussions about Rome, we have that. Thank you, Karen. Karen says, I'm so sorry to hear that Mrs. Flannel Farms is now sick. Brett, don't make you say it. What? Grow as you grow? Is that what you were going to say? Hit me, Brett. So yeah, it's been a red letter. Brian says, I'm getting goats, an awesome addition to my developing homestead. Woohoo! That's awesome, man. I'm so excited. You can post a video about it? I want to see it. Goats are so cool. I just don't like them. Like, the end product for me is not, I just don't think they taste good. RGB says, not boring, peaceful and relaxing. Yes, that's true. I will label them as such. And I will make sure I label them triple F for Flannel Farms filler instead of FFE, which is Flannel Farms episodes. So Leah says, I hope everyone is well soon. Thank you. Like I said, I expect tomorrow she'll be on the mend. But the problem is I was without energy for like 3 or 4 days after that. So it's hard to be the engine, the mom of the house when you just don't feel that good. So thankfully, I was able to take off tomorrow, and then I have 4 days off after that. So I'll be home to attempt to take care of her and the house and all of the many, many hats that she wears around here. I'll do it poorly, and she'll have to recover a lot of my stuff. But Brian says, they're a dwarf breed. I think they might be a dwarf Kinko mix. Cool. I'm excited. I love anybody who adds anything to their homestead. So even though I'm not a big fan of goats, and I don't find, because my kids and wife won't drink goat milk, and we've eaten goat meat, and it's not bad. I mean, it's way better than starving to death. I like it better than fish, but it's not something that I want to put my energies into, because I like the pig taste better. I like the chickens better, and I'm aiming for a cow. But that's just my personal preference. It's not a recommendation by any stretch. I have had goats before. They're a lot of fun to have. They're very playful and goofy, and it's really weird looking at something with the square pupils. But I'm really excited for you, because I know what a feeling that is when you get something bigger on your property. It almost feels like I don't know, just an accomplishment, like Christmas for grown-ups. So speaking of the previous video and the boring aspect and the peaceful and relaxing, I would like to thank you all. Since we did the Homestead Hustler video over with Sean the Modern Yeoman, and about 120 or 130 people have joined our little group from over there, my hours and numbers have grown a lot. Normally I was averaging 350-ish hours watched a month. And thank you, Donna. Donna says, sorry to hear wife is sick. Much prayers for a quick recovery going up. Brett says, Oh, and unintentionally, I started nodding off while listening to your relaxing video. Awesome job. Excellent, Brian. That is partially what it's for. So, Karen asked how much longer until we're monetized. So that's what we're going to discuss briefly. If you guys don't mind if I get behind the scenes a little bit with stuff. But so we did the Homestead Hustlers over with the Modern Yeoman. About 130 people joined in that week, and our hours went from 350 to 650 in the past 28 days. We went from 2,200 hours watched up to 2,800 hours watched in the period of like a week. The views have gone up to 5,000 in the past 28 days. So it is really it's doing great. It's very good. So we're at 2,800 or 2,900 hours. After this is over, we'll probably be closer to 3,000. Thank you all. And we have to hit 4,000 hours watched by, I think it's April, end of April, beginning of May, something like that. But if we keep up 500 hours every 28 days, that's 4 months. So that's February, March, April, May. We're going to be like right on the cusp. We're almost there. If I keep up the 600 hours or 650, which it's been, then in less than 4 months, actually in a month and 2 months, in 2 months we'll cross the threshold if we keep up 600 hours a week. So I'm trying to be more prolific with the videos. I'm trying to get out more content. As you guys know, that's how we're going to grow. So growing as we grow is various fields. But I'm having such a good time doing this, even though we haven't made any money. But getting to know you guys and having these weekly chats with you guys, and it's like a little highlight of my day. Different points when I pull up my phone, I have a little notification that one of you have commented on a video or liked something. Or Linda Armstrong says, "I love your channel. Glad I found you through the Modern Yeoman." Welcome, Linda. You're one of the people I'm talking about. Thank you for going back and watching some of the older stuff. There's been a few people that have commented on almost every single video since they joined like a week ago from the Yeoman. So Donna says, "What will it mean when you hit the amount of hours you need? Hope you don't mind me asking." I don't mind. I want everything to be as open as possible because we're doing this together. This is our adventure together into the foray of homesteading and YouTube. So I salute you, and I drink more of my broth. For those of you that didn't know what we're drinking, it's not tea tonight. I'm so excited. This is from One Chicken. It's just gelatinous, gooey slop from One, and it's so rich and buttery and delicious. Anyways. We added 1/3 of that to 2/3 water, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and microwave for 22 minutes. But it's so good. Donna, we have to hit to get monetized, to be able to have the super chats and to get paid for views watched and part of the advertising money and all that stuff. We have to have 1,000 subscribers, which we've passed. We passed that back in August, I think. And then you have to have 4,000 hours watched in 1 year. Now, the year doesn't mean April or May, and then you have to do it by that time next year. It's within a 12-month period. So we're going to hit it. I really want to hit it in 12 months of existing as a channel. But if we don't, we don't. I don't want to say the hard part is over, but the hard part for me is kind of over. And the hard part for me was just jumping in and doing it and actually taking the time to film and to get the right equipment, which you guys have helped with in the past. For those of you who are newer to the channel, the microphones and things like that were purchased almost primarily by the viewers. My brother bought me the nice Canon camera, and getting the editing software and those kind of things, and just learning how to do this, learning how to share this with you in a way that is entertaining, hopefully thought-provoking, encouraging is really what I want to do. I want to encourage people. And while 1,500 might not seem like a big number, to me it's huge. I expect as spring rolls around and we really start getting into the homesteading thing, I am hoping to add 10 times that number next year. I'm not sure how yet, but I think I'm getting better at them, at the videos. I hope I'm getting better. You guys are also encouraging that none of my criticism tends to be negative. Except for that one guy that found my boring video boring, which it was supposed to be. So I am looking for constructive criticism. So if there's something you guys like or don't like, I would hope you would tell me. But like anything, the old rule of thumb I think is that you have to spend 2 years doing something before you're considered a professional. And I by no means consider myself a professional YouTuber. I'm just somebody that's trying to do it. So it's like the homestead. I mean, I've seen a bunch of people do it. I know a bunch of people who are successful at it, but I have to do it for myself. And in some ways, it's like, you can watch all the P90X videos or Beachbody or you can own a Peloton bike, but unless you get on it and do it, you're not going to change. So I'm excited whether it ever turns into the part-time job that I would like it to be, and that it is part of the business side of what we're doing. I'm having a great time doing it. So if the money comes in, great. If it doesn't, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's very enjoyable, and getting to know you guys and having you be a part of it, expanding our little world, talking to spammers. Never go away, Russia or Ukraine or wherever. Speaking of Russia and Ukraine, what do you guys think of all the war drums they're beating? I think that's a bunch of nonsense, but Brett says, I'm considering starting my own YouTube channel. Have been for a long time. Watching someone grow is very good for me. Thank you, Brian. You're welcome, Brett. My brother was encouraging me to do it for years, and I never did. And in part, it must be the carbon diver connection in the house. Oh, got another comment too. Ziblon says, I'm excited to see how the homemade greenhouse works out and how long it lasts for you. So that thing is, we had you saw the pictures I put up of the snow. We had 5 to 6 inches of snow, and that thing is holding strong. We've had windstorms, all kinds of stuff, and it is holding. So, I don't know how long it will last, but I sort of expected it to blow over by now, and it hasn't. So, Jeremy says, I think Gog and Magog just made an alliance. They might have. Leah, thank you. Leah says, you rock, keep doing it. As for the guy who made the boring comment, that just means you've made it far enough to have a heckler. That's right. If nobody's coming for you, then you're not on the top of the mountain. Karen says, craziness all over again between Russia and Ukraine. Yep. I think in part that we here are hyping up a whole bunch of that nonsense because we don't want to revolt against the government that has been lying to us for years. But whatever. RBG says, suggestion trying to keep from cutting the heads off in the distant background when setting up camera position for ASMR type videos. Gotcha. I will do that. I was thinking of having even just mowing the grass and stuff. Just something with a kind of a constant noise of different sorts. But anyways, yeah, we're growing. Things are doing better. We're almost monetized. It would, like I said, it would be nice to have the income coming in from something I'm already doing. And I don't mean already doing with the YouTube channel. I mean already doing with the homestead. That is what having that advertisement money would do. So that is what we're aiming for. I don't want to make my money from you, the people who are viewing with me, necessarily. I want it to be from third parties if possible. Now, I'm still working on the shirts and things like that, and once we get big enough. Karen says, what does ASMR actually stand for? Always wondered, too lazy to look it up. I think it stands for audio sensory motor response. Is that right? Audio sensory motor response. I think. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. That's the best way to get the right answer on the internet, right? Just say the wrong thing and somebody will correct you. But yes, we're about 1,200 hours from being monetized. And for those of you that don't know, the monetization thing, strictly speaking, is YouTube gets paid by advertisers, and the channel makes I think it's 45 or 48% of whatever is paid to YouTube. Autosensory meridian response. Yeah, I was way off. Thank you. I just filled in stuff that I thought would work. Oh, he says, Zimleon says, if my cheap Chinesium greenhouse can handle 3 years of being up in North Missouri, I'm sure yours will do good. I thought about making one like yours, but worried the wood would rot. Yeah, I don't think the wood is gonna. Well, I mean, the wood around the base might rot, because it's like directly on the ground. But I'm thinking about putting gravel down. But anyways, so the money that we would earn comes from the advertisers paying. That's where that comes from, and that's the money we're hoping to make, is to get into that revenue stream. That's all. That's all. Anything else is a bonus. Any of it's a bonus. It kind of blows my mind that this is a way that you can potentially make money. In another sense, currently, it is nowhere near worth it if it was just for the money, because I can go work an overtime shift at the fire department and make a lot comparatively. So, well, I mean, a lot compared to nothing that we're making. And then it's the Averitt money is based on views and things like that. So it is, even where I'm at currently, if they started paying me tomorrow, it would be like $2 or something, but it doesn't matter. I have a feeling we're going to keep growing as we grow, and we're going to get more subscribers, and it will eventually be lucrative in that sense. I have big visions and grandiose dreams about having like a Flannel Farms day and like hosting something here, whether it was a just a fun day, or potentially trying to gather other people and have classes here. So maybe do like a canning day or a butcher day or whatever, seed sprouting day, I don't know, and get different people to come, present and speak. I am far from an expert in any of those things. But as we grow and learn and have more people join us, then I think it'll be really cool to have that here. So that is my big future idea, is to have people actually come to the property. I think that'd be really cool. But ZMB Lion, can I just call you Zalion? Is that okay? Would that be offensive to you? He said, I made a little fun shed hobbit house once out of wood, but must have used the wrong wood. It rotted in 1 year. My boy stole my name, so I'm stuck with this one. Zombie Lion. Got it. Zombie Lion. I will do my best to remember that. Hey, the homesteading channel with Brian at Brad Aker. If you start a channel, don't do it like I have. I was hoping for some kind of magical thing to happen, and I just make videos and get rich. It's probably more than I can handle. Good luck. Brian, there is definitely some sort of there's an algorithm to it, right? There is a way to do it. I mean, if I made a video tomorrow of giving $10,000 to a homeless person and said, watch me give $10,000 to a homeless person, it would probably get all kinds of crazy views. But I don't want views just for the sake of views, and I don't want people here just for the sake of it being here. I want them here because this is the kind of content that they want. But I also don't want to make clickbaity type titles, because I don't like clickbaity type titles, but clickbait is called clickbait for a reason, because people click on it. So it's just going to take some time. We'll get it sorted out. Zombie Lion. I'll have to remember that, Zombie Lion. Karen says, Flannel Farms, pumpkin patch picking. Yes, I want to do that kind of thing. I have the apple trees that are growing, so in 4 or 5 years I can have a little orchard. Corn maze, yep, that's good. Brett says, at the homesteading channel with Brian, I've got a good grasp of the reality and understanding of the challenge. I think YouTube will be a tool, not just a business. It is. Donna says, when your shirts come out, can they please make a hood shirts with the words on the back for me? Won't explain why, but I would really love for people to do that, and no one does. Interesting. Everyone wants it in the front of the shirts. I'm not sure why. Donna, we were doing both. I was doing the Flannel Farms with the logo on the front, and then Grow as You Grow on the back. But I'll see what I can do. Brett says it's all about following through with your passion, not just your wallet. That's right. And Brett, you hit on a good point again. Um, I think part of what draws an audience is you having a good time doing what you're doing. And I love the homesteading. And I think that comes through in the videos. I love filming it. I love editing it. I love talking to you guys. And I think all that comes through. None of it, there's so many better ways to make money. Let me put it that way. And there are so many things with way more potential to make money. And that is true of homesteading as well. I mean, we were joking about the chickens, right? So it's the night before the chickens. My wife and I are freezing our tails off, and we're driving back and forth like in the dark because the birds were easy to capture at night with this giant Tupperware tote, and we're throwing, not throwing. We're harvesting. We were, pardon me, cover your ears. We're going to the different coops. We're getting the birds, putting them in this thing, running them over to the shed or the barn where we did the thing, putting them in the different coops that we had over there, going back. And then I had the whole morning, like 5 hours in the morning of prepping all this stuff. And I joked with her, I was like, $3 a pound at the store sounds pretty good right about now. You're doing all this work for something that we could drive down to the store and get, except that they didn't have any chicken. So I couldn't just go to the store and buy it. But the reality is, we spent hours and hours and hours and hours, with them. We had to go to the post office to get them. We brought them back. We had to go get the feed. We got feed multiple times. We had to clean out their litter. We had to raise them every day. We fed them every day. We watered them, for 16 weeks. And then we devoted 12 to 13 hours in one day, invited people over, made this whole thing. We did 2 meals for our friends that came over, which is the least we could do. I mean, they drove an hour and 20 minutes to come help us. I'm not complaining. I'm just there's all this stuff that we had to do just to have this cup of broth and our own chicken. Oh man, another spammer. That's like a third one, guys. I think it's a record. And for those of you that didn't see, I'm going to show you again because I think it's so cool. Look at this. This is from one carcass. That yellow stuff is fat on top, but the whole thing is coagulated. It is just... Listen to this. It's so good. So we're not having tea tonight. We earned this broth. We're drinking this broth, by golly. And it's delicious. But I love taking care of the animals. Tony Foxlove says I must be going to watch football right now. Maybe I'll catch you later. Have a great day. Go Niners. I hope your favorite sports team wins. I did watch part of the earlier game, but I actually was trying to time it so that you guys would be here for a little while. If you did want to go watch football, you could finish it without missing anything too terribly important. But I love taking care of the birds. I love going out there in the morning and feeding them. I love collecting the eggs. I didn't particularly like killing them, but even the rest of the process was enjoyable. And so I was talking to my family about this well, and my sister kind of made the joke, because we all homeschool our kids, if Farmer Brian sells his chickens for X amount of dollars and he needs $12,000 for a well, how much does he need? Whatever. And I realized that if I made $1 a chicken, which is probably what you would get when it's all said and done, I would have to sell 12,000 chickens. And the amount of work involved in that many birds, I obviously can't do it. I don't have the infrastructure. But it just blows my mind trying to think of that type, didn't the Chiefs lose to the Bengals? I could be wrong. Pretty sure it went. I was watching part of that game while I was making dinner. But it really does have to be something that you love doing for its own sake. And if I end up selling a chicken and I end up making $1, great. But that's not why I'm doing it. And if YouTube ends up making some dollars, great. But that's not, there's the potential. There's always potential, but that's not the point. I have learned so much from you guys and the different comments that you've made, and whether it's about the planting or specifically about birds, you've had different ideas for waterers, like just the what was the super water? It was like honey, a little bit of apple cider vinegar for when your birds are small. So good things I've learned from you guys. So hey, Bill says, hey, Brian and Flannel Fam just got home, we'll watch the replay. I'm glad you're home, man. um Zombie Lion had held your, you're right, they're losers comment. They wanted me to make sure that was okay. um This will also be up for those of you that are watching football instead, and you come back and watch this later. That's fine. That's the other reason we're doing it. I know some of you like to go back and listen to this later. So for those of you that are watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. I hope you enjoy the sound. I hope it's better when you're doing dishes. Carolyn, hello. What do you think of the new setup? Does it sound better? Brett says it's all about following through with your passion, not just your wallet. Yep. Zombie Lion says, do a strawberry type you pick thing. They grow like mad and have a small investment. A few short years, you can have a field full. Yes, that's another thing that I don't want to you pick in general for things. The hard part is I'm not sure if I'm close enough to a big enough city that people would want to do it, but it's possible. There's so many options out there, guys. RGB says, always remember the tortoise and the hare. Yep. Donna says, don't do that fake stuff just to get money or recognition. It's really annoying. But right, and we're not looking for a flash in the pan here. So we want, I want to build relationships with as many of you as I can. So the homesteading channel with Brian says, great point. I had the perspective that I would be able to leave my current job and be a YouTuber on a homestead. It's probably not going to happen. Brian, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. Because to be honest, I am hoping that eventually I will be able to leave my job and do this, but I'm planning on like retiring from my job in 15 years. So my thought is, if YouTube is still here in 15 years and still making money in 15 years, then by then I will have created enough of a following that it will be a part-time job while I'm here. But I'm thinking 15 years out. I would love it to just stay home and make content on my farm, but we have to be realistic. Zombie Lion says, I don't mind having chickens. I just got some this year, but the darn ducks my wife have are driving me nuts now that it's winter. I butchered one chicken myself and it was rough, but I need a mentor to show me. And he says, go Chiefs. Zombie Lion, I don't know if you watched the episode we did, but I did put one out there for our first time. We'd never done it before, and that's everything. I think it's everything you need to see. We did not, I will tell you, we did not do the beheading method. We did the Joel Salatin method. I linked that video in it, and you can, basically the idea is it drains the blood without cutting the entire head off. When you cut the throat, I'm sorry if this is graphic, you don't cut through the windpipe and things, you just try and cut the jugular. And what happens is the chicken's brain doesn't get any more blood. So the consciousness is supposedly gone very quickly. Excuse me. But the autonomic nervous system is still going. So the heart is still pumping, even though their brain no longer is receiving blood. And it does that for a few more seconds, longer than if you take the head. And so you get more blood out of the bird and things like that. The trick with that is getting behind the feathers appropriately so you don't have to saw, and having a very sharp knife. And I kept a sharpener over there, and about every 3 birds I would just do a couple swipes to resharpen the blade and make sure that everything was good for the bird. So that's what we did. The homesteading channel with Brian. I don't mind if you put a link up. Go for it, bud. I wish you all the best and success in the world. Where are you at? Are you, I don't know what state you're in. I watched one or two of your videos with the rabbits. You're not gonna go away. Zombie Lion says city folks love to come out of the country. They flock here during deer and turkey season. I'm sure if we have more corn and cows, they'll come. If you build it, they will come. Probably. Enjoy Being says sometimes asking to put a link up will get you reverse publicity. That is true. It can happen, but I don't mind. This is our community. I'm in Alabama, probably about an hour from your brother. Cool. If I go down to visit my brother, maybe I'll come over. I'll invite myself to your house. Air Farm B&B and more chickens. Ricky, we had talked about that with the cabin back there. One of the things we learned actually is up here, because it is a bit of a scenic little town, there's a whole bunch of Airbnbs already, so the prices are actually very, very reasonable. We found, I don't know, 75 or 80 listings in this little area. So I'm only looking at like $75 a night. And then I have to actually have people on the property. So I think I would rather do just a big day here on the farm. And potentially the U-Pick. I think when my kids are a little older and we've established some of the fruit trees and things like that, we'll do some of the U-Picks. And then the kids can help do it. And I won't be as concerned with strangers being around them. This broth is so good, guys. I wish I could send you some. But so far I've only made one pickle jar's worth. But the cool thing is because this is actually concentrate, it's like 3 times as much from one chicken. So just the nutrients and stuff that you get out of it compared to store-bought meat is so good. Anyways, everyone, if you like this new setup, please let me know. If you're watching this later, and this is a how did you make the broth? We'll talk about that. If you're watching this on the replay and the sound is better for you and you like it better, please let me know in the comments. We're trying to adjust some things and to make it more professional. Just because we out here in the middle of nowhere don't mean we don't know how to do things the right way. Donnie the Foxquest says it's halftime. Not be able to watch this live. Tell the San Fran coach what he's doing wrong. My dad used to holler at the TV. Karen says this setup is fine with me. Good. Bill asked if we did sort of answer it, but is there anything we do differently next time with the chickens? One of the things I learned is the bird feathers hold a whole lot more water than I thought they would when we were scalding. So when we pulled the thank you, Carolyn, says this setup's good. When we pulled the birds out, they pulled a lot of my hot water out with it. So I was not prepared properly to refill things. Well, I had another pot there that I was keeping hot, but I did not fill it up enough in one time. So it just didn't, I need to pay more attention to that. So next time I need to make sure I have a secondary pot of water that's ready to go. And then once I use water out of that secondary pot, I need to refill it immediately. Covering the pots like you do when you cook on your stove retains the heat. They heat up faster. So that was a key thing that we started doing about halfway through. Something else, Brett says, sound is great. Maybe play with the lighting, make it dramatic and visually intense like a horror film. Have like blood falling down the walls. Yeah. I should do one of those Zoom things where like you have like the background in space. So I just need to pay more attention to the water and make sure that I don't run out of the appropriate temperature water. Because after we did, I think it was 5 or 6 birds, like that next bird, we ended up having to scald for a whole lot longer because the 90 seconds thing wasn't working because we had run out of hot water. So, you know what? I'll put a strobe light up and a disco ball, and then that will, that will keep us going. Carolyn Smith said, yes, plant trees now or trees every few years, but plant different fruit trees in your property so your family has fruit all year long. Yeah, so when we did the orchard, we've done peaches, we've done pears, we've done apples, we did a couple bushes, um, honeysuckle berries, we have blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. We have a lot of stuff going. RGB says if you do a big day gathering, it would be great if you also had someone there live streaming it. That would be fun. I would like to do that. Um, no pig masks. I'm not that clever. Um, my my brother is very creative in the artsy type world, and that is just it's just not me. I'm a very straightforward, linear kind of dude. Um, so it's actually very uh, difficult for me to think of creative artsy type things to do that are entertaining. Now, I don't know if it came through with the Modern Yeoman. I am much more of an improv guy. So if I could get someone else to sit here with me and we could just have a conversation, that is my area of expertise. That is where that's my time to shine. So I am not a like solo stand up kind of guy. I am much more a troupe kind of dude. But I don't have a troupe. It's just is. So when y'all are here, we do much better. Anyhow, that being said, Carolyn says no strobe lights, you'll get an epileptic seizure. Yeah, no, I'm not. I might put myself back in the other corner next week so we have the better background. But anyways, Leah says those pig masks were seriously creepy. It was. It's the funny thing. It was such a strange video, but it was so well done. The different angles and the lighting and the sound, but it was really really weird. But that's my brother for you. God love him. Oh man. Anyways, unless you guys have any questions for me, we have passed our 1 hour mark, but and then some. I do appreciate you staying longer, even though there is championship football coming on, and you guys chose to hang out with little old me instead. I probably would have rambled on for 30 minutes if nobody had signed in, but y'all signed in, and so we were able to go. Um, Enjoy being says being in a corner might make the audio reverb a little bit. It might, but I'm actually speaking out into the open, so I was hoping that does better with the. Oh, somebody asked how we made the broth. Thank you. So, like I said in the video, I know you can use the feet and things like that, but we weren't brave enough to do that, so we used the necks, all the necks, and then that night we ate the chicken, and when we took the carcass that was left and we put it in there overnight with the necks, and that's where we got all of this. And she did put, excuse me, bay leaves and onion, and she roasted the garlic and then put it in there. So there was not a whole bunch of vegetables, but this was at the end of the day, and we were very tired, so we did not spend a lot of time putting stuff in the crock pot. Next time we'll probably add more vegetables to it. But it came out so good as is. One of the kind of surprising things is it has a very good flavor, but we're used to such salty broth as a people, that while it had a very chickeny flavor, it felt kind of bland until we added salt. And of course, salt flavors everything. So we added just a pinch of salt, and that really brought out the rest of the flavors. So no. Enjoy being, it does matter. He says, some more drapes or soft furnishing around would maybe take the edge off. But again, it doesn't really matter. It does matter. And why it matters to me is because I want to give you guys the very best experience. So I've been able to reduce the gain like we talked about and bring it down a little bit. But I will think about drapes. Eventually, I would like to do something more like my brother does, where he has the actual like space set up for it all the time, and can do it that way. And also, pecans are delicious. Homesteading channel with Brian says, are you going to make a more permanent slaughterhouse setup? I would like to do something off of. Foxglove says my halftime food isn't tasting so great right now. I'm sorry. This is so good though. What I would like to do is off the side of the barn. I want to build like a lean-to or almost a Florida room type setup, and I would like to run water out to it in the barn and potentially have a instant hot water heater out there hooked up to electric instead of gas. A very small one. You can put them under a sink and it'll do just enough for that sink, and have a big sink set up out there, farm sink style, and then have more permanent tables and things out there that I could have for cleaning and consistency, and like a tile floor and that kind of thing. And I want to make a chill room also. So there's things I want to do, but I haven't done yet. The next step is the plucker, the bigger eggmobile, or the second eggmobile, another set of electric netting, and then a couple big chest freezers. So that's the plan before the next one. So Joy Bean says, build over football is a game played with men with odd-shaped balls. Oh, that's funny. Hickory chews are like pecan trees. They're really tasty. I have a few big shade bark hickories, and the kiddos go nuts over them. I do have hickories on here property. We haven't tried them yet, but we do have them. So, chicken broth. It's what's for dinner, Brett says. You got that right. Okay, well, my friends, flannel fam, as it were, I think we're going to call it an evening. We are running long, and I don't want to get in the way of anybody's watching of football, and I would like to go check on Mrs. Flannel Farms, as I have left the poor thing alone for 75 minutes. Make sure she doesn't need anything. So thank you for your prayers for our illness, and if you would take care and pray for her as well, that would be great. But thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you like the video tomorrow, and the video after that should be yes, honey is on the list of things to do too. But after that, the next video should be baby chickens. So we are going to have so much fun. Thanks for being here. You guys are the best, and we will talk again soon. Grow as you grow. Good night, all.